Fala galera, seguinte, eu sei que esse vídeo tá muito bom, mas presta atenção no recado que eu tenho para vocês. A Stake é patrocinadora oficial do UFC e também é apoiadora aqui do canal da GFight. Tem um link nosso aqui na descrição que vocês podem e devem conferir, se você for maior de 18 anos e apostar com responsabilidade. Nessa semana, se você apostar no modo vencedor e o lutador escolhido perder na decisão dividida, você recebe o seu dinheiro de volta. Então fique ligado, se inscreva pelo nosso link aqui na descrição e vamos que vamos. Fala galera do GFight, Diego Ribas diretamente de Las Vegas, numa conexão com Tampa. Welcome back to Age Fight, Colby Covington. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, brother. Thanks for having me back on AG Fight.
Thank you for your time. Actually, it's good to see you back. It's been 1 year. And how was this year? Why did you take the year off? Did you have the chance to, I don't know, heal any injury or have a new hobbies? What did you do during this year?
Man, I've done a lot in this year. I mean, the main reason that I took off is because first and foremost, I broke my foot in 3 different places in my last title fight. So I had to get healthy. I had to do the rehabilitation process. I had to get my foot healthy again. And, that took some time. It took 6, 7 months to get that foot healthy. And then obviously, the biggest thing is taking back our country. So I was on the campaign trying to help Donald Trump get reelected any way I could. That was very important to me because nothing matters really for me and my career and money unless we have Donald Trump back in office. Otherwise, we have to live under a tyrannical government. So, very thankful, that we took our country back. Now I can get back to business. And I'm excited to get back to business in the UFC on Saturday night.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that at the end of the interview, but since you brought the subject, I'm going to ask you now. As a professional fighter, the highest level in MMA, because we saw you, not just you, but a bunch of fighters were supporting politicals. When you did that, like you kind of have to stop training for a little bit, right? Some days or some weeks. And how is that for you? Because in order to perform 100%, you gotta train 100%. But once, like sometimes, especially election year, you kind of stop your career, let's say, for a few days to do this.
No, I train 24/7, man. It doesn't matter where I'm at. I could be on the road helping Trump. We were in a lot of campaign rallies in New York and Tennessee and Alabama, and it didn't matter. The work doesn't stop, brother. When you're committed to your craft and you want to be the best at something, I want to be the best in the world at martial arts in the UFC. So, I find ways to train. If I'm in a gym, I'm doing sprints on the incline of the treadmill. I'm getting weightlifting and I'm doing shadow boxing. I'm visualizing. I'm doing these things to enhance my career and my skill set, and the training never stops. It doesn't matter if I'm on the road or not. I'm going to still find a way to get better and improve my game.
Perfect. It's going to end with my question. You did talk about your foot, about your traveling on the road, and about 1 year off. Can the fans expect Colby Covington in your best performance, your best version Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. They can say Chaos 3.0. They're going to get the best Colby they've ever gotten. I'm a guy that's hungrier than ever. I'm inspired by Donald Trump winning back the presidency and taking back our country. To see the work ethic that guy has, he sleeps maybe 2, 3 hours a night. I mean, he campaigns in multiple states in America every day. I mean, the guy never stops going. He's just a machine. So to see his work ethic and sacrifice for our country has really driven me and inspired me to new heights. So Saturday night, they're going to see a Colby that they've never seen, a guy that's hungry and a guy that's motivated to finish this guy.
Colby 3.0. Let's talk about Colby 3.0. This fight was a short notice for you, right?
Yep, this fight was a 3.5 week notice, so very short notice.
So even though it was a short notice, you're going to be, because you were training before, but you had like 3.5 weeks to, I don't know, make a strategy in order to fight Buckley, right?
Yep, that's right. I didn't know anything about the guy, so I had, limited time, but, I'm a smart guy. I know what I need to do to research, to find the strategy to beat this guy. And, I looked up some of his tapes and seen the way that he likes to fight. And, he's a big puncher. So, I got to put the pressure on, keep him in close range. And, I just know if I stick to my game plan, I'll get my hand raised on Saturday night.
Yeah, you said like he's a big puncher. He's a strong guy, he's a tough guy, explosive. You are very famous because you're like your cardio is almost unmatched, let's say. Um, do you believe a longer fight, deep waters, it's a better fight for you?
Yeah, I do believe that. I don't think there's a man alive right now on this earth that could stand in the UFC octagon with me for 25 minutes. So this guy's never been under the bright lights of a main event 25-minute 5-round fight. So I do believe the longer this fight goes, if it gets out of the first, second round, that it's going to highly favor me. So I'm going to put the pressure on early. I'm going to put him in the deep end of the pool, and we'll see if he can survive. I think he's going to drown. That's my personal opinion, and I'm going to make sure that he drowns and quits in that octagon.
Okay, okay. Well, another thing that I would like to ask you is, it's a fight night card. Like, I know it's tough. I know it's Florida. I know you live there. I believe you have a lot of fans over there. But at the same time, it's not a pay-per-view card. Your last three fights were pay-per-view cards, and most of your last years were just pay-per-view cards. Um, and how do you feel about it? Were we expecting come back in a pay-per-view card? Does it matter for you at that? I don't know. How do you see that?
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever the company wants. I'm a company man. I love the UFC. So any way I can use my services to help out the UFC and do good business for this company that's giving me everything, that's what matters to me. It doesn't matter if it's a fight night, if it's pay-per-view or what. I just want to do good business for the UFC and be the ultimate company man. And I think I'm showing that them this weekend, that I'm dependable. They can call me on 3 weeks notice and I'm going to show up and save the day because that their main event fell through on this card. They needed a big fight. They can't sell this fight with the other guy with Buckley. He's a nobody. He hasn't accomplished anything in this sport. So they needed me to come save the day. And what better man to come save the day than me?
You're 36 years old. Um, I believe your last 4 years, since 2020, you're fighting once a year. Can the fans expect you being fighting like twice next year? How do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's reasonable. I fight 3 times next year. I want to fight in the first quarter next year, then the summer, and then the winter. Just bearing injuries, that's just the biggest problem. I got injured in my last fight. I was out for 6, 7 months healing up my foot. So now I'm healthy again, and I feel good. I'm in my prime right now at 36 years young. I've trained smart. I've taken good care of my brain. So the fans can expect me to fight multiple times next year and reclaim that welterweight throne.
Okay, I would ask you that. Is the belt still the goal for you?
Absolutely. The belt is still the goal and still, my biggest dream. And, I know I match up well with the new champion. He's a wrestler and he's not going to be able to wrestle me. So it's going to be a striking fight. And I know I can outstrike him. So the belt is my goal. Whatever I have to do to get back there, I want to prove to the UFC and to the fans that I'm the best welterweight on planet Earth.
Good to know. Good to hear that. There's one thing that was on the spotlight last week because Ian Machado Garry was fighting, and he said that the UFC offered the fight for you both to fight twice, and you denied. Is that true? Was ever an official offer for you?
Nope, that's a lie. He's talking out of his ass. That's completely untrue. The UFC has never presented and offered that fight. He doesn't have that type of power to go to the UFC and be like, "Hey, this is the fight that I want." He hasn't done anything. He hasn't beaten any high level fighters. So, I told him if he wanted to fight me, all he had to do was 3 easy stipulations. Turn on your comments. Your wife wants to be famous so bad, put her in one of my videos and have her beg for me to get this fight. He couldn't do those 3 easy stipulations, so he doesn't get the fight. I'm not going to go begging for the fight with Ian because you want to know why, Diego? Because he's a nobody. He does nothing for my career. Fighting a guy like that, an up and comer who hasn't beat anybody and established himself in this division, does nothing for me. So the fight's never been offered. I've never been presented with a fight. I would have went to the UFC and been like, "Hey, Hunter Campbell, hey, Dana White, I want this fight," if he would have agreed to the 3 stipulations. But he didn't agree to the stipulations, so there's no fight. So he can continue being a jobber and a nobody that's irrelevant to the UFC.
Okay. As you know, I'm from Brazil, And yeah, he lives part in Brazil, parts in Europe, or he trains in Brazil, and his wife is Brazilian. So a lot of Brazilians they have they want to ask you that, like in terms of promotion, when you approach the game, we all know how they promote very well your fights. But there's one line that some fighters they say you cannot be crossed when it comes to talk about family, parents or wife or stuff like that. Uh, how did this beef with Ian did start, and how? I don't know. I don't know. I think you guys are great fighters. I would love to watch this fight, but I understand your point because you fought for the belt. You are in the higher position in the rank. I understand your point. I don't think as Brazilian I don't understand the thing about his personal life.
I mean, ooh, big deal, you know, like I said the truth, man. Like I didn't lie. I didn't say anything that was a lie. You know, he's a cuck. You know, he lives in the same house with his wife and the wife's ex-husband. I mean, that's don't you think that's kind of strange? I mean, if I divorced some chick and then I went and go live with the chick and her new husband, that's just kind of weird. So I'm just calling a spade a spade. I'm saying facts. I'm not saying anything bad about the wife. I'm just, you know, she wants to be famous. She's quoting Shakespeare. She's going after Sean Strickland. She's trying to put herself in the limelight every way she can. So, you know, if she would have just stuck back and not tried to act like she was part of this business, it's different. But the fact that she's tried to interject herself into the business is not cool. So I'm just going to call out a fact for a fact. It is what it is. And as far as the beef with him, he's just a cuck. I don't like cucks. I don't like people that, you know, sit in the corner and watch their wife get banged out by other dudes. So it's just weird. And I'd like to slap his mouth for it. And I think all the fans would appreciate me doing that too. They all hate her.
Okay, I'm gonna move on since it became like personal stuff. I hope you guys figure this out one day. And I like the way you break down fights. I've seen some videos you analyze very well details of the fight. When you see a guy like Shavkat, um, how good do you think this guy is? Because he's undefeated so far. He's fighting Belal for the title next. He's the next online. Um, how do you see Shavkat's puzzle? Is he the real deal for this division right now?
No, I don't feel like he's the real deal. And to be honest, Diego, he's the guy that I called the UFC to fight. When the Bilal fight fell through with Shavkat because Bilal had a pager on his foot and it exploded and busted his toe up, he pulled out. I called the UFC. I said, "Hey, Hunter Campbell, let me save the day and fight Shavkat. I'll put on a good performance for the fans." But he didn't want to do it. He wanted to go the undefeated route with the Cuck and Gary, so they made that fight. So, but once I called, he said, "Hey, but if you want to fight Shavkat, then would you fight Buckley in the main event in Tampa?" I said, "Absolutely. Whatever the company wants me to do, I'm a company man." But when I look at a guy like Shavkat, and the reason I called to fight him on 3 weeks' notice, I see a lot of holes in his games. I don't think he's that comfortable striking and being close in the pocket and getting into brawls and making it a dogfight. So I do feel like he shies away from a tough fight, and then that's something I thrive in. And then also, you know, he's been trying to wrestle a lot in fights, and I just don't think his wrestling's that good. He hasn't fought anybody. Everybody's been hyping him up. Oh, he's undefeated, has all finishes, but he hasn't fought a top 5 guy. I don't. He hasn't even fought a top 10 guy. So now he's fighting a top 10 guy, you know, in the cup, but it was a split decision or he won by 1 round. It was a close fight. Like he didn't show that he was that impressive. So these guys are up and comers. They haven't established themselves as elite. And that's why I don't think Shavkat's that impressive in this boogeyman that everybody makes him out to be.
Okay, fair enough. Great analysis as usual. Last but not least, Colby, I'm gonna leave you by yourself and ask you a favor. Would you mind to send a message for your Brazilian fans and answer the question why they should watch your fight Saturday night?
You know, big shout out to all my Brazilian fans. We started this thing together. Let's finish it the right way with the belt. I love you guys. You guys made me famous. You know, if it wasn't for Sao Paulo, Brazil, I wouldn't be here today. Main event and spotlights in these big primetime positions. So, you know, muito brigado. Love you guys. I'm gonna eat some picanha steak on Saturday night after I fucking beat this Buckley's ass. And make sure you tune in because it's gonna be an epic performance. And you know, all the mamacitas of Brazil, I love you. You guys are some of the most beautiful women in the world. And if any of you are single, hit my DMs and let's talk.